Welcome back to The Deep Dive. Today we're pulling back the curtain on, well, arguably one of the most ambitious and frankly radical meditative systems out there, Vajrayana Deity Yoga, or Devata Yoga.
Devata Yoga. It really is the fundamental, the defining meditative practice of the diamond vehicle Vajrayana Buddhism.
And if you think meditation is just about, emptying your mind,
get ready for a surprise.
Yeah.
This isn't passive contemplation at all. It's a really sophisticated system. High-stakes spiritual alchemy, you could say.
So our mission today is to try and understand how this practice actually works, how it functions as this systematic process of self-transformation.
Right. It's a complete synthesis, really.
Yeah.
Body, speech, mind, all brought together through visualization, mantra recitation, and these ritual hand gestures, mudras.
The core claim, though, sounds pretty revolutionary.
It is. The great Tibetan scholar Tsongkhapa, he basically asserted that this methodology, this is what separates the tantric path from every other Buddhist school out there.
Wow. Just that.
Well, it's central. It all kind of boils down to the ultimate realization that you, the practitioner, and the chosen enlightened, being the Yidam, are non-dual. Advaya.
So you're trying to prove you are already awake, in a sense.
Exactly. It reminds me of how the 14th Dalai Lama put it very succinctly. In brief, the body of a Buddha is attained through meditating on it.
You're literally trying to become the result right here, right now.
Which is the core mechanism of this whole path.
Okay, that takes us straight into the most radical part, I think, from our sources. Section 1, this principle of taking the result as the path.
Brasbulam Kir in Tibetan.
It sounds a bit like spiritual cheating, doesn't it? I mean, if achieving Buddhahood normally takes countless lifetimes of accumulating causes, like in the sutra path.
Right, the gradual path.
Yeah. How can just visualizing the results speed things up so dramatically?
It's a really valid question. And the sutra path is about accumulating causes bit by bit over eons. That's taking the cause as the path. Vajrayana, though, it leverages the mind's incredible imaginative power by intentionally, vividly generating the experience of yourself as fully enlightened now. You're actually creating these incredibly powerful, rapid causes to realize that state much, much faster.
So it's like psychological pre-engineering.
That's a great way to put it. Scholar Robert Thurman actually compared it to a kind of high-tech genetic engineering.
Oh.
You're fundamentally reconfiguring how you see yourself, how you see the world, even your subtle energies, shaping them into the pattern of a Buddha. It speeds up the whole timeline.
Okay. Now this term Devata Yoga, it can be a bit confusing for listeners, right? Because you also hear it in Vedic and Hindu traditions.
Absolutely. We definitely need to draw a clear line there. It's crucial because the difference defines the whole practice.
How so?
Well, in the Vedic context, Devata Yoga often involves cultivating a relationship, a living connection with powerful external forces or deities like Durga, Vishnu, Shiva.
Right, through things like puja or chanting mantras.
Exactly. The focus is often on enhancing human potential by engaging with these distinct external divine personalities.
Okay.
The Vajrayana version, however, is completely non-theistic in its foundation. It has to be built on Mahayana principles, specifically sunyata, emptiness, and bodhicitta, that altruistic drive.
So the deity isn't out there.
No, it's not an external god you pray to for favors. It's understood as a luminous, almost illusory manifestation of your own fundamentally pure mind, your Buddha nature, arising out of emptiness.
That shift from external worship to internal realization, that changes everything.
Completely changes the game.
Okay, so if we're going to visualize ourselves as these perfect, limitless beings, we first need that non-theistic foundation firmly in place. Let's dive into that philosophical basis in section 2.
Right. And we have to start, as Lama Yeshe famously put it, at ground zero.
Ground zero.
Meaning dissolution. It's the non-negotiable first step. Before you build anything, you have to dissolve your ordinary, limited sense of self, that habitual ego clinging, the feeling of a solid I, into the vastness of emptiness.
Why is that deconstruction so vital before you start constructing the deity?
It's the core safety mechanism, honestly. If you skip that meditation on emptiness, then visualizing yourself as some perfect, powerful being, well, it just becomes wishful thinking, fantasy, or worse.
Spiritual narcissism.
Exactly. A subtle inflation of the ego. But if you first realize the emptiness of a solid self,
then there's nothing to inflate.
Precisely. You understand that the deity you generate is empty yet apparent. like a rainbow.
Yeah.
Luminous, beautiful, yes, but without any inherent solid substance.
Okay, so emptiness is the ground, the space. What provides the blueprint then? The perfect pattern for the deity that arises.
That's the seed. Tathagata Garbha.
Yeah.
Buddha nature. This is the idea that all beings, you, me, everyone, already possess this intrinsic luminous potential for enlightenment. The deity, the Yidam, isn't some arbitrary form. It's seen as a perfect archetypal expression of that innate potential.
And the form itself, the look of the deity, isn't just, art. It embodies that union of wisdom and compassion.
Absolutely. It is the ultimate expression of non-duality. The whole structure embodies the inseparable union of wisdom, that insight into emptiness and compassion, or the boundless wish for all beings to be free. The specific form is like the perfect meeting point of those two.
That leads us nicely into the practical side. If we've got the emptiness foundation, what are we actually building? Let's look at the Yidam itself, the meditational deity. You mentioned the Tibetan term, Yid Ki Dam Chig, mind commitment.
Yes, mind commitment or mind pledge. And that translation really highlights its importance. The Yidam is like a sacred bond, linking the practitioner's mind directly to the state of enlightenment. It's seen as the very root of spiritual accomplishment, of siddhi.
And let's just hammer this home one more time. These aren't external gods we're worshiping for favors.
Absolutely not. That would violate the whole principle of emptiness we just discussed. They are pure expressions of Buddhahood, archetypes of awakening, and they are inseparable from your own mind's potential.
Different from, say, worldly gods or devas.
Totally different. Worldly gods, in the Buddhist view, might be powerful, but they're still stuck in samsara, the cycle of suffering. The Yidam is the state of liberation. It represents the fully awakened mind.
Okay, so if the forms themselves are packed with meaning, let's unpack some of that symbolism. Take Avalokiteshvara, the embodiment of compassion. There's that incredible story about his body shattering.
Yes, shattering into 1,000 pieces out of despair, feeling the task of liberating all beings was just too vast.
So what does the final image, the 1,000 arms, the eyes, actually teach us?
It's like visual dharma. He's often white, signifying purity, untainted by suffering. His first two hands hold a wish-fulfilling jewel that represents bodhicitta, the enlightened attitude itself.
And the 1,000 arms.
When Amitabha Buddha put him back together, the 1,000 arms symbolized the boundless, skillful means required to reach and help every single being.
And the eyes in the palms.
That's the crucial part, wisdom. An eye in each palm shows that compassion must always be guided by wisdom. Otherwise, it can become, misguided or ineffective. It shows enlightened action is all-seeing and has infinite ways to respond.
Then on the other side, you have someone like Manjushri, pure wisdom.
Manjushri embodies razor-sharp awareness. In his right hand, he holds that flaming sword, the khadga.
Not for fighting actual enemies, though.
No. It's the sword of wisdom that cuts through ignorance, the very root of all suffering. And in his left hand, he holds the Prajaparamita Sutra, the text containing that highest wisdom.
And this wisdom can even manifest in a wrathful form.
Yes, that leads to forms like Yamantaka, the slayer of the Lord of Death. It's the ultimate statement that wisdom has the power to overcome even the deepest fear, the fear of death and impermanence.
Wow. So the variety of yidams allows a teacher to pick one that really resonates with a student's specific psychological makeup.
Exactly. It acts like a personalized spiritual mirror, perfectly suited to catalyze the student's transformation.
This sounds incredibly structured and intensive. Let's move to section 4 and walk through the actual meditation stages, starting with the generation stage, Kairam, constructing this pure reality.
Right. The generation stage, Kairam, is basically a sustained, highly disciplined, imaginative reframing of your entire reality. But importantly, it has to be rooted in the philosophy we just talked about, emptiness and compassion.
How does it start? You don't just jump into seeing yourself as a deity, right?
No. It typically begins with 3 foundational absorptions, or samadhis.
Okay, what are those?
First, the samadhi of as-it-isness, basically.
Yeah.
Meditating on emptiness, the ultimate nature of reality, or absolute bodhicitta. Then second, the samadhi of all-perceiving compassion, really cultivating that heartfelt wish to liberate all beings, relative bodhicitta.
And the third?
The causal samadhi. This is where the union of that emptiness and compassion occurs. From that union, spontaneously, a seed syllable, like a vibrant H-E-M or H-R-I-H, appears. And then instantaneously, that syllable transforms into the complete deity and their pure environment, the mandala.
And this isn't just daydreaming. The sources stress the need for vivid clarity with Sao Snang and stability Pratenpa.
Absolutely. It requires intense concentration, and it's a total engagement. You visualize the form, body, you recite the mantra associated with the deity, speech, and you often perform specific hand gestures, mudras, mind, a full immersion.
But the most crucial part, and maybe the trickiest, seems to be cultivating divine pride, Yang Argel.
Ah, yes, divine pride. This is critical.
Okay, help me with this. If I'm sitting there visualizing myself as, a golden Buddha on a lotus, how do I stop that just becoming massive spiritual ego? What is divine pride, really?
That's exactly the right question. Worldly pride comes from insecurity, right? The ego trying to puff itself up. Divine pride is different. It is the strong conviction, the certainty that you are the deity. But, and this is the key, the conviction is grounded in the prior understanding of emptiness. You know neither you nor the deity have inherent existence. And it's motivated entirely by bodhicitta, by compassion for others.
So it's not pride in a self, but conviction of the true, empty, yet potential-filled nature of the self.
Precisely. It's seen as a powerful antidote to what they call the poor quality view, that habitual feeling of being limited, flawed, unworthy. It cultivates a kind of primordial self-esteem, recognizing your innate purity and potential.
And the goal of this whole construction phase is the four purities.
Right. Achieving the four purities signifies success in this stage. It's about total reality transformation. Purity of body, seeing yourself as the deity. Purity of environment, seeing your surroundings as the sacred mandala.
Okay.
Purity of enjoyments, experiencing all sights, sounds, feelings as manifestations of enlightened bliss. And purity of action, acting naturally with the compassion and wisdom of the deity. You're essentially overriding ordinary, impure perception with pure, enlightened perception.
Wow. Okay, so once that pure reality is stabilized, you then move to the second stage, the completion stage, Drugrim, dissolution and realization.
Exactly, Jijdrim. Now you systematically reverse the process. It's the path of liberation through dissolution.
How does that work?
The visualized world dissolves into the mandala palace. The palace dissolves into the deity then melts into the seed syllable at their heart.
Back to the syllable.
Right. And then the syllable itself dissolves, usually from bottom up, until only the very subtle point of light, the nada, remains. And finally, that nada vanishes into formless, luminous emptiness, the clear light mind.
So you build it all up and make it incredibly vivid, and then you let it all go, systematically.
Yes, that constant oscillation between creation and dissolution is key. It prevents you from grasping onto the deity visualization as being ultimately real, reinforcing the understanding of emptiness, and allows the mind to settle into experiencing its own fundamental luminous nature directly.
But there's more to Drugrim, isn't there? The subtle body stuff?
Ah, yes. The path of method. This involves the highly advanced yogas working with the subtle body. Salung Tikle.
Right, sounds very esoteric. Can we break that down a bit? Salung Tikle.
We can try. If the generation stage, Kairam, was more about cognitive reframing, top-down work, then this part of the completion stage, Dogrim, is more like bottom-up physiological and energetic engineering.
Okay.
You're working with the subtle energy system. Sa are the channels, like the body's subtle circuitry. Lung are the winds or energies, the subtle breath, which is considered the vehicle for consciousness. And Tikle are the essences or potent drops of psychophysical energy located at key points.
Why work on that level if you've already done the visualization and dissolution?
Because ordinary consciousness, which rides on the ordinary chaotic energy winds, Lung, isn't stable enough to sustain the deepest realization. The goal here is to skillfully gather all these subtle winds, these lung, and draw them into the central channel, the avduti.
The main highway, so to speak.
Pretty much. When the winds enter, abide, and dissolve in the central channel, it activates the most subtle, most fundamental level of consciousness, the clear light mind we mentioned.
And that leads to the ultimate goal.
That leads to the direct, non-conceptual, non-dual experience of the union of bliss and emptiness, Bat Stong Zong Jug. The intense bliss generated by the winds dissolving is experienced as being inseparable from the profound realization of emptiness. That's considered the stable taste of enlightenment itself.
This is incredibly powerful stuff, which clearly means it's also potentially high risk. We absolutely have to cover Section 5, the essential container. This isn't something you just pick up from a book, is it?
Absolutely not. It's far too potent to practice without the proper guidance and preparation. The risks of things like ego inflation, psychological imbalance, or just fundamentally misunderstanding the whole point are very real.
So what makes up this container?
First and foremost, the guru. A qualified Vajra master is indispensable. They provide the specific tailored instructions, monitor your progress, and act as a vital safeguard against pitfalls.
And you can't just decide to start. You need
Empowerment, the Wang. This is the formal ritual initiation where the guru transmits the blessings and the spiritual authority of the lineage, effectively planting the seed of realization in the student's mind stream. Without empowerment, trying to self-generate as the deity, it just lacks the necessary energetic and conceptual basis. It won't work properly.
And commitment is key too.
Definitely. The Samaya, these are the sacred vows and commitments the student makes to the guru, the practice, and the lineage. Breaking Samaya is considered extremely serious. Upholding it is like the lifeblood in the path.
And all of this usually comes after significant preparation.
Yes, typically after completing the preliminary practices, the Injondro.
The famous 100,000 repetitions, prostrations, purification mantras, mandala offerings. That sounds like a huge amount of work beforehand.
It is a massive undertaking. But the Jundro is designed to purify lifetimes of negative karma, accumulate a vast store of merit, and crucially, to make the mind stable and resilient enough to handle the sheer intensity and speed of Deity Yoga practice. You need a strong container.
It helps put it in perspective. When we usually talk about meditation, we might think of Vipassana insight meditation, which is very analytical, deconstructive, observing impermanence.
Right, or Zazen and Zen, which emphasizes stillness, non-grasping, just being present.
Deity Yoga seems fundamentally different in its approach.
It really is. While it rests on emptiness, the practice itself is profoundly elaborative and, importantly, constructive. It actively uses the power of imagination, complex symbolism, and cognitive reframing as skillful means to build an alternative, pure reality.
So it's almost like a psychologically complete system. It integrates that high-level cognitive work, the visualization, with the really deep physiological work of the Tsalung yogas.
That's a very good way to see it. It employs both top-down strategies, like reframing your identity, and bottom-up strategies, manipulating the subtle energies, to bring about a total transformation of being.
What an incredible journey we've traced. This path of Deity Yoga seems defined by this constant oscillatory rhythm, this sacred pulse between creation and dissolution, appearance and emptiness.
And through sustained practice, the idea is that the pure reality of the Yidam actually becomes more experientially real, more vivid and stable than the ordinary, confused reality of our everyday self-perception.
The ultimate goal being
the irreversible attainment of Buddhahood, that stable, unshakable realization of the non-dual union of bliss and emptiness, which manifests ultimately as the three bodies, Trikaya, of a Buddha: the formless truth body, the luminous enjoyment body accessible to advanced practitioners, and the compassionate manifestation body that appears in the world to help beings.
So it's a transformation from being a limited individual into becoming a boundless source of benefit for everyone.
That's the ultimate motivation, yes.
We've learned that so much of ordinary life seems defined by the limitations we constantly, almost unconsciously imagine for ourselves. It leaves me wondering, could the quickest path to liberation actually involve this incredibly rigorous discipline of first constructing and then systematically dissolving the perfect, limitless identity?
It's a provocative thought, isn't it?
Is the real spiritual work maybe less about just stopping thought and more about achieving profound mastery over the mind's incredible imaginative and transformative power? Something to really chew on. Thank you for diving deep with us today.